What a best of 5 now very quickly has become a best of 3. After that win there for Bliss, we're all tied up now, Telly, at 1-1. And you do start to ask, all right, with that in mind, do you treat it like a best of 3 now? Is it a clean slate, or is all that knowledge from those previous 2 games all there to try and figure out, okay, what's our best way to kickstart this one, given that Ash and Ezreal seem to be the focus?
And we do, okay, I think we're on the wrong side here, Skimmy, but that's fine, you know, because I don't think Antic would be banning the Ivan away, but I think that with you know, what we've seen in the last 2 series, we asked for Bliss to play some more scaling, because I think that the team who's, you know, I would say more comfortable in the laning phase should really favor some greedy drafts and should get away with it, and this time they really did. They, you know, whereas the Corki, you know, isn't necessarily a greedy pick, neither is the Carthus. They're so strong on this patch. They are monster scalers, and they did such a good job to get to the point in the game where they can really take over. And I specifically like the Braum into, you know, a team like Antic. They always want to group up and look at these fights, and the champ is just so good at disengaging and make sure that Violet, who, you know, maybe got caught out quite a few times recently, wasn't falling down. And I like the look they went for, whereas, you know, for Antic, I like their comp, but just every time I see this Maokai and Oskimmy, it just doesn't get strong enough to the point where it's just going in and blowing up in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly had a meta where it was the go-to for such a long time, right? Definitely during the whole Xin, Vi, Engage meta, but it's fallen to the wayside a little bit on this occasion, unfortunately. It feels like if you are going to go the AP avenue, might as well just fully commit, as opposed to kind of dip your toes in the water, if you will. And it seems like that's what's going to happen, because he's going to lock in the first pick Zyra, with the Ezreal up and available, with the Braum there as well. Braum first pick would be absolutely wild, but this is what I love from Bliss, right, is they're going to get themselves the Kaiser.
Yeah, and I sort of like this read from Bliss Gaming, because, you know, the Ashe obviously been so strong this series. I think that Ezreal might have been quite a bit overrated so far. It looks so strong in both games, right, but just can't really do what it needs to. But we do see the Kaiser being taken away, and this is probably Destiny's other champion that he has. You know, we've seen the Ashe, the Kaiser, and the Ezreal out of him. The Zeri, not one he's really known for, but can play that one. But also, the Alistar being denied straight away.
But it's the Alistar over the Nautilus for me, Tally.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe they believe this is one they want to deny from the enemy team and make sure that they can't use this one. But the gameplay call, but hold on.
Hang on a minute. Now we're talking. Now we're cooking. Tapoon is somewhere out there. Oh, okay, whatever. You know what? We're not going to have our conversation about that anymore, because it's going to be the Xante, it's going to be the Ezreal, and it's going to be back to your regular scheduling.
I will say, though, okay, so the Ezreal, while it has been weak, is obviously the better champion into Zyra. So the fact that it did go to Kaiser into the Zyra, all of a sudden you do not outrange this champion. You're playing full dive into Zyra, and we saw what that looked like into the Brand yesterday with you know, Shenfai, right? And how hard that was to deal with. So if they mess up, if they dive in and they do not lock down this Zyra, you know, the Stranglethorns, you know, the ulti is going to completely blow up this team, and you know, we're playing that mirror matchup on the top side now, so I'm excited to see that. But all of a sudden now Antic have that, you know, lane swap chance if they want to go for that.
They certainly do, and I'm curious if they feel like it's you know, possible to run it back in another game, or if it was a one go. Now they're not going to. Now they know what to expect. We can't get away with it a second time around, right? So I'm sort of curious to see what the response will be in that regard as some mid lane bans come out this time around, right? And that's the big difference. Is whilst we've usually locked in our mid lane champions, this time around it's actually going to be that champion pool that gets pinched. Yeah,
and it's a good read by Bliss to find, you know, they're not banning Razor's Pool anymore. They're like, okay, no matter what we ban, this guy's always going to have a champion as an AD carry in the mid lane. So just dropping all those mid lane bans all together and making sure they focus other parts of the map, which can be punished. But, you know, the fact that both mid laners are dropping here allows, you know, Raze to ban away some of those tough picks like the, you know, the Yone and the LeBlanc or the Orianna, who were so strong into him in the recent series or even the recent games that they played, and get himself into a, you know, more comfortable matchup. And with that Tristana being left open, that's probably his best champion on the patch right now.
Absolutely, and it's interesting that they've decided not to ban it, right? Because yes, whilst it's a case of forget it, let him have whatever he wants, surely there's still a world in which you want to make sure that he gets a little bit uncomfortable. And that's exactly what Antic do, right? Remove some of the champions that makes Harry so good in the other departments as your conventional mid laner. The Yone, the Orianna, definitely his go-to, the split, and makes a whole lot of sense when you think about it. There's the Nidalee then. So Kevy feeling pretty inspired when he plays this champion, much like the Viego, another one of those feast or famine styles of gameplay, but is always there to deliver.
Yeah, the nice thing about the Nidalee, right, so regardless of what is picked on 5 here, they can have an 80 carry into 80 carry matchup, so probably going to see Raze go for that. There's no way. There's no way.
Surely not.
There's no. He's just memeing us right here. But yeah, okay. This is more what I thought. But just because you know, he was pinched, so I was thinking, okay, what's Drake gonna go for? Is gonna be the Rakan. So probably just gonna see the Tristana Corki trade happening right now. But, you know, with other AD carries being left up, he cares more about having lane pressure and does go for the Lucian. So, you know, this is going to be obviously the other AD carry being picked up for Bliss here as the Yone is being taken away. And there is the Yone option. I mean, not the Yone option, the Yasuo option, right? There is the Alistar on the team, there is Now on the team. So if Harry wants to go for this matchup, there is the potential. And maybe that is why Raze decided to go for something that has a lot more lane pressure. But, you know what? I'm rambling.
Just cancel yourself out. You know what? I don't know what I'm talking about. Scooby, take it away. And I've been asking for this for such a long time, right, from Harry, is like, if we are going to really flex our champion pool, why not dig deep and showcase that, yeah, I know you're going to play an AD carry of some sort, but I've got all these answers to counter and give you a bit of a reason why it should stay in the bot lane and not veer its head into my lane. So the Azir's going to be a nice pickup. I would say still one of those champions that functions a little bit like an AD carry, loves the attack speed, going to be very happy to interact with Kevy, especially later on.
Well, if we take stock, okay, Nidalee as a solo AP carry into, you know, a strong front line like Asante is obviously very risky, right? So Bliss, they're finally starting to cover their weaknesses in draft. You know, they're making sure they have multiple threats, multiple damage sources, and I think that the Azir is a good pairing with the, you know, the Nidalee as well. You can make use of their attack speed. Is going to be that AP carry that we asked for out of Harry, and that late game win condition. I think that falling into the trap of playing AD carry versus AD carry against Raze is something they want to avoid, right? They never want to go for those Tristana Corki matchups. They never want to play those traditional matchups that Raze is so comfortable for. Last game, you know, Zeri obviously one that isn't so strong in lane, so he can abuse that. But I like Nidalee into Zarya just because of the heal. You can heal through the poke that comes out of the champion. You can match the clear speed. And if you do find the CC, you know, coming out of an Alistair setup or a Nas setup, you can one-shot him.
You certainly can, and maybe finally we've broken the habit of we always need to get a Tristana, we always need a Corki no matter what. It's been broken apart, but the Ezreal, Leona, the Zyra, they all still stay at that 100% presence. They are just too strong for a very good reason. Well, let's see how this game then does take place as we load into the Rift for the third time tonight. With everything even, it's a chance for a clean slate for both of these teams to showcase some very new ideas in draft, be it the bans, be it the picks, and perhaps even the playstyle tally. And that's what I suppose I want to talk about now. Let's look at the win conditions that both teams are hoping to achieve.
Yeah, so, okay, obviously Antic just want to farm against these team fights, and I think that we look at Bliss's comp, they want to do the same thing, but Kevy starting with the health potion is questionable to me because, you know, junglers don't need this health potion to clear, right? They want to have as much gold as possible for their first items, for their first recall, but him going for that health potion means, to me, right, if I was trying to read that, he wants to be as healthy as possible and play for a potential invade because all the health you have is going to come down. It's going to be really important when these 1v1s happen in the jungle, even when these lane is collapsed. So curious to see if that is going to be the case for Kevy. They don't have any priority on the map to, you know, recognize where he's going to start, but more than likely, Foreign is just going to go for that clear down. Kevy's going to go for that clear up. You know, having that blue buff is so nice as these junglers who do spam a lot of spells.
And to that same extent, obviously both are very, very quick at clearing out the jungle. Would you expect a pretty passive affair from both junglers, apart from the invades that you potentially highlight, or is this a case of you know, level 3, we've got a little bit of CC, let's interact with this these laners and let's make sure this game is as volatile from the very get-go?
I think that's quite a solo QS thing. You don't really see Nidalee go for those early ganks in competitive. You can go for those invades, of course, and the fact that Kevy is sliding that red and piling down could mean, you know, I don't expect any of the Bliss lanes to get priority in early lane. You know, I think that the Ezreal and the Rakan should get the priority over the Kai'Sa Alistar. Alistar's a weaker champ, level 1. And then Lucian's just a really strong early game champion. Azir needs those points into his spells to be able to start dealing some of that upfront damage to match Lucian's push. And AD carries are just naturally better at pushing waves. So Foreigner's going to feel pretty comfortable piling down and feel quite protected, even though the clear speed is matched. And in the 1v1, if he is caught out by that spear, it's quite a hard one to take.
It's a pretty hard one to take, and I suppose also worth noting is you know, the scaling discussion we've been having this entire series. Do you think there's a clear favorite in that department? Because I look at the Kai, so I look at the Azir and say if that gets a few items under its belt, that's terrifying.
I'd say the ease of execution in teamfights goes to Bliss, right? They have, you know, more CC. They don't really rely on skill shots like the Ezreal. You know, Kai'Sa upfront damage. You know, all they have to do is land one CC, and all of a sudden he can assassinate the Zyra, Lucian, or the Ezreal in these teamfights. But at the same time, all those members do so much damage, and the Cassante especially, the Rakan engages can come in clutch late game. So I think that both teams scale really well, and this is finally, we're starting to see, you know, a very stable draft from both sides, and this is what we expect from the best of series, that you start off fast, and then you kind of mend the patches in the armor. You want to make sure your comp is as stable as possible, because consistency and being able to fight these objectives is so important as the series goes on.
Yeah, they've got a medic, they've patched those wounds, they found what is going to be their best foot forward, and now we're going to get a case of, oh, you know, we can't make excuses for these drafts. It's much more about the execution, which is what I'm sure the viewers want to see as well, right? The best team prevail. As Foreigner on vision is going to get tracked. A few Nidalee traps that he's actually circumventing at the same time as well, but he just wants to walk in here and actually bully Nidalee off completely. It's going to be so successful because Harry's locked underneath the tower. What a blast cone that is. That actually might spell Razor's demise. He's now down to 50%, but Draku rocks up, and it's just a game of cat and mouse. Who can get here quicker?
How OP is Zyra Skimmy? The fact that Foreigner can, you know, clear 6 camps before Kevy clears 5, walk into his side of the jungle as well. He didn't even use 2 smites there. That was just 1 smite clear, and, you know, contest a blue buff. You know, maybe that was Kevy's fault. Maybe he messed up his clear, because we don't really see that ever happen in competitive in these mage versus mage matchups. But this is the strength of Zyra, being able to full clear your jungle before that, you know, 315 mark with 1 smite is what really allows his champ to be strong. So I see Kevy just base here, drop that ward to, you know, see where the camp is. But no, holding his ward, gonna back off, but still gonna be the win to Foreigner in the early game.
Yeah, it certainly is. As the grand entrance goes out, headbutt to knock Draku away. And nothing to come off that play in the bot lane, apart from Violet losing 50% of his overall HP. You can see pings fiercely going towards the top half of the map as Nidalee is waiting. Kevy pounces upon. Starts off with a bit of CC going into Mega is Bio. But as soon as Zoranus cops that one, they back away in the end. And bot lane is going from bad to worse, really chipping away with all that poke.
Yeah, this is just the strength of, you know, the Rakan, Ezreal in the early game. Alistair, no threat, no combo threat onto either of these members. Both of them are really mobile, and the fact that, you know, Ezreal can trade through the wave with that W and the auto tackle, the arcane shift to pair that one up. So we might see the dive happen, but Eldork has done a really good job to not recall here, right? He's just playing in fog to be around just in case he can clean these guys up with that combo. But a plate going over to the Antic bot lane in the early game is such a big pickup, Skimmy.
And it certainly is, and without any ignite pressure in this bot lane for Antic, they wouldn't have it as easily as they would have liked otherwise. The second game in a row now that Draku's opted for the Summoner Heal was certainly very much a clutch factor into the Karthus, but not enough for them to come out with the win. But a nice start in the early game, right, to push behind and make sure that this Ezreal is actually fighting before the crit starts to scale out of control.
Yeah, and maybe this is what, you know, okay, if you're an Antic fan, this is what you really want in the early game. You want these laning phases to be quite stable, because that is where Bliss has the advantage from, you know, their player diversity and their veterancy. They're really good at laning, but so far we see Antic, just the better drafts in bot lane, can take advantage of the early game. We see Raze in a much more comfortable matchup this time, you know, versus a control mage, a champ who's not really going to push you out of lane early game or have too much gank set up on a champ like Lucian who does have mobility. But it's just nice to see that it's a stable style for Bliss, because, you know, they feel more comfortable in that mid game just from, you know, how strong these players are. But at the same time, Antic have drafted up a really nice comp to match that, and Foreigner is the one who is getting the advantage this time.
That he certainly is, up by a very healthy amount at this stage. But Kevy's done a pretty reasonable job of making sure that he isn't completely out of the water just yet. Certainly not to the extent we saw on the Karthus matchup just before into the Maokai. But I think, yeah, you hit the nail on the head, right? It's the ability for Bliss to try and push their lead, to showcase that we are the, you know, lane by lane veterans, and that you should feel a little bit uncomfortable going into some of these matchups where you've not done thousands of reps beforehand. But in the same case, it is Bliss saying, well, that's fine for us if you're all in on trying to make sure that you're stable. We'll just go for objectives, we'll go for plates, we'll punish your lane deployments.
And, you know, with this happening, they go for that lane swap, and the fact this is a Gnar. If he does not have that Gnar bar, that's a dive threat onto him, even though this is an Ezreal and a Zyra. They do a lot of damage, it's just hard to set up, and that's why Draku being here is so nice for the team. Whereas, you know, on the other side of the map, Xante, so hard to dive, especially with that all-out, you know, has that double path maker. Red buff going to respawn on the top side of the map, so Foreigner can walk in for this one, but Bio...
Oh, flirting with danger there, wasn't he?
Dragon
dicey.
Up, Skimmy.
Little bit dicey, but as you say, Dragon has been picked up by Bliss. 3 grubs went the way of Antic, both sides playing to the opposite end. And for Antic, it's a case of, well, if your jungler's down there, let's just pop our head into your jungle. We know you start at top half of the map. Maybe I can steal away your red buff, having taken away your blue. But Aladoric is there to back up Biopanther, and look, they'll pick it up for themselves.
A lot of respect being afforded to, you know, Bio and Eldork there. They know that Kevy can't be there, right? They heard the dragon go down. They know he's on the boss side of the map. But they just back off. They don't want to create any volatility. They want to, you know, reset and match those lanes again, because this lane swap, I was going to say, is another nice punishment on the clears, right? Both junglers cleared down, so those camps are respawning on the top side of the map. And Kevy being forced on the bot side of the map only gets himself the chickens there, but because Bio and Eldork were able to defend that red, and, you know, probably would have been the golems as well, not going to be so bad for Kevy here, right? Obviously, Foreigner is still going to be the winner here. Does get the grubs, does get away, you know, more camps on the top side, but Kevy looking for him on the invade.
He certainly is looking for him on the invade, and I think it's interesting for me is how well versed these teams can be at absorbing the pressure, right? Because whilst Antic can certainly be the aggressive ones, looking to try and start a fight off with the Rakan or perhaps even the Zyra, I think they're even better at withstanding the pressure. If they all get dived upon, they can say, well, there's the Stranglethorns, what are you going to do now? As opposed to Bliss, where it's like, we want to try and dive on in. But in the same extent, I suppose they do have the flexibility of like a Kaiser and a Azir that can dive into your backline or can just stand and deliver and wait until the perfect moment to scoop.
Yeah, absolutely, and a little interaction there we have to note, Skimmy, is the fact that Foreigner cancelled Harry's base and spot out Kevi at the same time, so now he feels comfortable with his mid laner being back on the map and he's only having priority walking into the bot side of Kevi. And all these camps are up right now, and if they do walk in, this could be a potential fight, but this is a Rakan who's very close to level 6, this is a level 7 Zyra, and this is a Lucian with priority on the mid lane.
Once again, so close. That spear just not enough for Kevi to pick it up. So a second time now, the blue buff has been denied. The root connects onto Aladoric, the full combo to be flushed away from. And had to be, because Aladoric had no ultimate to cleanse out of it.
Kevi has the smite.
And Kevi is going to make sure that he at least gets something. So in terms of the bottom half of the map, and at least in the jungle department, Bliss have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that as time goes on, we're going to see some interactions in this game, between the champions. We look at Aladoric picking the Elsa away this time. Well, it is a good denial to Dracu. Look at the enemy team, can't combo the Ezreal, very hard to combo the Rakan, and very hard to combo the Lucian. You're going to get outranged heavily by the Zyra, so your only real consistent target is going to be Zornis, who can buffer your combo. So I think Aladoric's going to have a very tough time this game, especially since he's, blowing his flash in these skirmishes, and the fact that Foreigner over and over again is finding these invades and stealing away camps. It's quite hard to deal with.
It is quite hard to deal with, and I love this. The fact that we have so many mind games between individual lanes, right? And in particular, it feels like the support department as to, how many champions do you want to ban away? How deep is your champion pool? And how much do you think you can make me uncomfortable in this game? Maybe on this occasion, it was like, you can have the Alistair because we'll just build a comp where you can't find any success at all. Or maybe I get to humble you on your best champion of Rakan. Certainly little narratives developing as this game goes on, but this would be, like you mentioned, the slowest of them all. Maybe that is just the case of game 3. Everyone's just taking a breath. 10 minutes in, not a single kill yet.
But we're about to have a 5v5 on the Grub, Skimmy, and it's so important about how these fights are played. Aladoric does not have that level 6 yet. He needs to absorb experience off the midway because Dracu does have that one, and I think that whatever team ends up going forward, like Aladoric right now making a mistake,
it's a massive mistake. He's going to instantly punished by that one. Quickness, knock up, first blood, easy as you like it there from Raze. And it all stems from a Hex Flash to maybe get a little bit of extra XP, but in this case, just a very accelerated death screen. Out goes the True Shot Barrage from the top half of the map, padding everybody low. Draco with the flash pounce, and knocked up 2 again. The Stranglethorn's just shy of range, but Bliss had to burn every single flash they had.
And what a mistake from Aladoric, and I think maybe a mistake overall by Bliss, the fact they group up when Aladoric does not have the flash, does not have the ulti, does not have threat onto the backline. It's such a big deal. The Foreigner is so strong, Skimmy. You do see the even items, when it comes to both junglers, but Zyra doesn't need to land the spear, doesn't need to jump in and fight speed. All she needs to do is spam these plants out and throw out the ult when she gets threat onto her, and I think that, both teams... well, I would say Antic don't need to engage, right? They have this range advantage and they can play to it. So as long as Dracu isn't going for those multi-man dives by himself, I think these team fights are going to be quite comfortable going towards Antic.
I would say so, right? As long as there's no major disconnects. Look, guys, I can try and catch up this individual. Who's there to back me up? Not really anybody. Just delete whoever's in front of you, for lack of a better term, right? It's been fairly simple for them. And now Biopember's like, well, my tower's about to fall on down. How do I get away from this one? Hop, skip, and jump. He's gone. So phenomenally well done there. But with the 6 scrubs achieved by Antic, with the 4-man dive collapse, they'll find the first turret.
And they just caught off guard completely. And, Zornis can base and just TP to this bot side. And, that's 5 plates for none on the bot side. There is one that's already been taken down, but I don't think they can dive Zornis if he does TP under here. But he is respecting. He's going to... Oh, no, he's not. He's going for this one. So has the Pathmaker very hard to dive, but there is Harry coming down as well right now.
He is respecting. You know what? He's actually disrespecting. Let's see what you can do. Pathmaker cancel out the pulverize. The combo's not there. He's looking for the scoop. Harry shoves him in towards the wall itself and says, where are you going? There is the True Shot Barrage from the base, but not enough to take down Aladoric as his ult was still up at the time of that one hitting. And both top laners look worse for wear.
But we do see right now that Bliss used their tempo to play for that dive, so there's 300 gold. They could have been the Dragon instead. Not going to be able to get the one because they do need to reset now, and all of a sudden Antic going to get priority in the bot lane and in the mid lane where we see Destiny in mid with the Triforce. Kevy can't walk into rivers, so it's going to be crab denied. And at the same time, Foreigner's clearing his camps again. He's piling down, and when he gets down to this Dragon, that's going to be the objective going to Antic most likely.
And that seems like the biggest difference between these two at this stage, right? Because only now is the Nash is being picked up and complemented by the Kraken of Violet. But it's the fact that both Destiny, Raze, as well as Foreigner are just so strong in comparison. And this is going to be a rare window which TB can say we can fight on an even matchup. But having lost all those flashes based on that blunder beforehand for those grubs, I'm not sure if they actually want to entertain it.
And that's 4 plates going down, Skinny, in the mid lane. So already picked up 9 plates this game. What a big deal for the side of Antic, who we were so worried about what they're going to do in early game. But another 4 plates on the bot side, Skinny. Just 13 out of 15 plates taken in this game, which is such a big deal for the team that we would think isn't going to be able to match up to the early game laning prowess of Bliss. But these lane swaps they've been doing this entire game have been the reason that, you know, this lead is really coming to fruition, and this is, you know, working towards a 3,000 gold lead at the 14-minute mark already.
Very early on, 3,000 lead. It's monumental to say the least, right? This is certainly some Jeff Bezos gaming. They are very, very rich, and I think nobody else in the league apart from Ground Zero has had this at such a strong moment in time. Harry under threat, flash to follow, Shreema shuffle, not enough, and frustration on the face of their star mid laner as he gets pounced upon by a few.
Yeah, and I thought the comp that they put together was going to be so good for them. They, you know, they can get through the early game, they can really scale up, but this is just Foreigner, pretty much. This is Foreigner doing such a good job to find his timing, to abuse the lane priorities, and always be on the right place on the map. And I think these lane swaps, the macro coming out of Antic is doing so much to complement him right now on this mage jungler, and it's so nice to see that, you know, Foreigner, who had a bad game last game on that Markite, locks in the carry, says, guys, give me the keys because I am the driver this game.
Let's not forget also the lack of experience that Foreigner has on his roster. Never won a title, only 74 games to his name compared to Zoranus, who already has double that himself. And this will be the 3rd time that Foreigner has made it to the playoffs. And now, as I say his name, he's going to actually then be called out of position, isn't he? It's a classic caster Curse moment as he flashes to safety, learns to Strangleform, tries to keep Bliss locked inside that river, and hopes that they can get an answer back. But as an occasion, it's just a single snipe away.
Yeah, and that is a nice pickup by Eldor. Finding the flash, finding that kill onto him is so important. Even though Antic are making them work for that, right? That is that flash on cooldown for the LCO. So now all of a sudden I talked about how hard it was for him to find these combos onto these backline members. It's going to be even worse without that flash summoner spell. So even though Foreigner does fall down, Antic are making them work for it. And at the same time, that was camps being stolen away from Kevy. And this CS lead, this camp lead, continues to grow.
It certainly does. It's getting bigger and bigger by the minute. And whilst you see the biggest advantages favouring Foreigner in the jungle, it's going to be answered back by Biopenfit in the top lane in his respective 1v1. But the overarching theme as to why Antic are up by 3,000 gold has to come down to the towers and their place. Well, jumps on in, trying to hold on for this mid-tier one by dear life, just to keep them interested. Here he goes in for the flash pounce. And Emperor's Divide to lock them down in the mid lane, and this time Bliss find what they're after.
That's exactly what they needed. The Antic members overextending, trying to get that last tower down, but they do not respect the side lane priority coming out of both members. Harry, veteran player, uses that TP, collapses on mid lane, has that flash, and Destiny, they know the timing on the Ezreal flash, doesn't have that own one to respond himself, so he falls down when that Arcane Shift is not ready. Gonna pick up that outer turret, and that's such a big deal for these, you know, range versus range mid laners or range versus range comps, because now all of a sudden Alepdoric can get in behind them. He can walk for these flanks. He can play for these flanks and objectives, and, you know, really play to his champion strengths.
They certainly can. You can actually look at the bottom half of the map in that jungle favouring Antic's side. So many wards littered throughout it, highlighting the ease of access, be it the river or the jungle. How do you want to try and wrap around and gank us in the mid lane? Easier said than done, but it's a rare opportunity for Team Bliss to keep this one close before Antic completely snowballed out of control. Fromner says, you know what, one more auto attack will do it. Will he do it? Probably not.
It's a fake auto attack, excuse me. It's a very tanky tower. So that's not one auto attack. You know, without those minions, it's quite strong. But you do have the grubs, and Destiny can walk up and pick that one up for him. So that's 3 towers already. That's a 3-0 tower lead for the enemy team. But Dracu going in on bot side.
Ooh, nearly found what he's after, but some nice nimble movements there from Harry. Denies the quickness. That could have been enough to get the kill on that occasion. Break apart these side lanes and once again put the ball in the court of Antic, favouring them with this mid game. Still though, they do have that gold lead. Still though, they do have a Zyra that is so far ahead. But there is still that rare opportunity for teams to say we're on an even footing. That 2k lead is actually just a myth.
And we keep talking about Zyra being ahead, right? But, you know, you take stock of the inventories right now, and they are quite even. It's just the the ease of execution when it comes to these champs and these team fights is what I'm really referring to when I talk about the lead that Foreigner has. You know, Kevy really needs setup. He needs to land a spoon. He needs to go on to make use of his entire kit. He can provide these heals and the sustain for his AD carries, but, you know, Violet and Harry are not going to be doing the same DPS output that Raze and Destiny can. They just have a lot more uptime, and, you know, Harry needs to find these big shuffles, these big engages for his team to really do those, you know, big plays that he needs. And Violet, such a low-range champion into the team like the, you know, the Rakan engage, the Zyra, it's just so much to really worry about, and he needs to find that killer instinct angle to really get online.
They'll certainly need to find those killer instincts, and has found them so successfully all season long. That's why I'm so excited to see it back in action. Try and outmaneuver some of the fancy feat that all these individuals can provide in this next fight. Spear to zone them away, create some space from the bot tri-bush, allow Harry to have some uptime on that tower, and open up the map just a fraction further as Bio deals with the top lane. And Antic respond in the bot half. 20 seconds then on Dragon number 3, one apiece so far. And everybody seemingly grouping up for another 5v5 skirmish.
So Antic have sacrificed their tempo skimming to get the better buys, right? We see that, you know, Destiny based to get that 2 item power spike. They are playing for that, you know, control through bot side. They recognize that, okay, we've lost control of the mid lane. Let's enable Raze, let's go through bot. And Zoros is already grouping up. Panther on that top tower does have that CS lead, is playing for that silent control, but pay attention to the Naba because he does not want to send that one too early if he wants to TP and impact this dragon fight.
And he's going to hold himself a little bit, show a bit of restraint. Nice spear connecting onto Fawn, and probably the best target of them all, but the quickness charm onto Harry. Escape in the side lane, can he run away? Raze is hot in his tail. Raze has the flash, he's already burnt his dash, but there's enough damage in his back pocket with the Kraken Slayer to boot. And it's rough, it is very rough. It's Azir to try and navigate things here. Had the Leandries as well, sitting on a lot of gold.
Yeah, Harry just felt safe recalling there. You know, there was no wave. He's sitting in under his tower, but a really nice deep ward by Drakri spots him out the recall. But Kevy going in for the steal.
Yeah, he tried to find that steal, not to be found. Pounce on cooldown, flash to safety. More time being afforded to the top lane for Bipember to answer back. As Bliss will just say, I need to fight out of your side of the jungle and get back to where I came from. Where does he go from this one? Up, the Great Escape.
And he's going to be out of there pretty easily. But this is still the trade of the map control, right? That gold lead isn't ballooning for the side of Antic, who do have, you know, a lot more strength and inventory right now. Harry does complete the 2 items. Flash is going to be back up really soon, so he does have the potential to take over his team fights. And if the enemy team doesn't respect the amount of damage he outputs, they have no magic resist, right? He does do an insane amount of damage, even though his scoreline doesn't, you know, reflect that. I think that we are going to see it come down to execution skimmy, and, you know, ease of execution definitely goes the way of Antic because they have the tank, they have the control mage in the Zyra, whereas Bliss, they have that ability to find these big engages, to find these flanks, and to really take down these members. But with all the flashes being there for Antic, it's a tall task.
And it seems like flash is maybe just the key word to describe Bliss, right? Is they need it to try and give themselves that fighting chance of mobility, but they had the flashy outplay champions at their disposal, right? The flashy, you know, Alistair engage. The same could be said then for the Gnar, the Azir, even the Kaiser to some degree as well. They have the ability to try and utilize those mechanics, and it might come to fruition on this occasion here. Harry with the scoop, locked in place by the Zyra, dies in a 1-for-1 trade. That's to be found by Zoranus, who doesn't need to go all out to secure that kill. And it's all by the fact that a Baron has spawned, and they were interested.
And this is the thing about Zyra, right? So you remember when Brand gets caught, he just throws his R and his E and his W, and he does all the damage he runs, right? So it doesn't really matter if he dies. But Zyra is pretty much the same, you know. We see him get caught out by the combo there from, you know, Aladoric, and then the flash, Emperor's Divide from Harry. But he throws out the ult and splits up the team, and all of a sudden Harry is caught up in the end, does get traded. So flash for flash, but control mage for control mage. And even, I think this is going to favor Antic because those kills are going onto the correct members.
No, they certainly are. 3-0 is raised now on this Lucian, and this is such a phenomenal series, right, when we talk about it. Actually, we'll hold it at fault for a second, because it all starts initially with Aladoric wanting to fight. Yeah,
this is, you know, Aladoric finding the engagement with the Foreigner, but this is Harry having to trade his own flash, but the String of Thorns comes out, and Harry cops the damage to the face, and it's going to be the pickup for Zoranus, who is that big frontliner for the team, and does go for that, you know, early power spike build, so he is online, he can find these team fights, and the fact that Bio doesn't win this 1v1 against Raze on the side, because Raze is so strong, is such a big deal.
But that was my talking point, right? It's the fact that we do have Raze coming into this one saying it's an 80 carry meta where I can apply that to the mid lane, and you've tried multiple different approaches to shut me down. Ban all my carries, I'm forced onto Lucian. Try something different, I go into the Zeri. Think, you know what, it's probably actually just a waste of bans, so he just gets allowed to pick really anything he wants. And Harry's now the one trying to respond back and say, how can I showcase that I am the true mid laner?
Yeah, and I think that Harry has the right approach here. He's locked in the Azir. Well, it doesn't have as much lane control against the Lucian as the Orianna does. That one was banned away. It can scale, and you do outrange the Lucian, with the the range from your soldiers, right? The culling is something he needs to worry about though, and the side lane in particular. I think that Razor's strengths are, as an AD carry player, he knows how to play AD carries, and the fact he's gone to a solo lane, he has more experience and more gold, is such a boost for him. So he's out of laning phase. He's now in the mid game where he can really shine.
This is his strong point, that is for sure. Kevy,
he's DC'd.
like he's DC'd. There's no way you're standing still like that. This could be a lengthy one as he's dropped the lobby. And, well, Adadoric, they're on lane with him. Does mean that two players drop out, unfortunately. So the jungle support duo of Bliss, we'll have to wait for that as an update. Hopefully it's nothing too severe. This would be an absolute tragedy if that were to come back online.
My read on this skimmy is that, this will be like most likely a Chrono Break, because one, Kevy, if they do, just let him walk away, he's chunked. So like there's the potential to punish a Baron because, a mistake from the DC. But to me, that kind of thing where Kevy walks in and finds himself so low, is a Chrono Breakable thing, because it's such a big impact on the game. This game state is so close, and we see that Raze is just reacting like this. I can't believe this has just happened at this point. Such an intense game. Such an intense moment, and we have a pause.
That it certainly is, right? Such an intense series, right? Given that it's really both teams fighting tooth and nail for every square inch to make sure that we should be the difference, and we deserve that final spot to represent Oceania abroad. And look, we have no update on our end from the production team right now, so I can't really give you anything to share, but I'm sure you all would have seen that, yeah, two members from the side of Bliss have disconnected. And I suppose in moments like this, if you found yourself in many options, in many situations like this, and sort of how do you handle it?
It's frustrating, right? Because, this has been like, what, 23, 24 minutes of gameplay so far, and it has been very intense. It's been back and forth from both teams, and I think that we're seeing the higher level league from both sides, and the fact that that pause does come out, it's like the, okay, everyone pause, everyone hands up, you can't play anymore, and it catches you off guard. It takes you out of the moment, and a lot of the energy that you develop throughout the series, it is lost in the moment. So I think it's unfortunate that the pauses do come through, but it has happened to me in the past, and it's about recollecting yourself, making sure your team comes back in and remembers what your call was, remembers what you were doing, and remembers the game state, because it's so easy to just come back into the game and be like, okay, what were we doing again?
Very easily, right? To get a little bit flustered and be like, hang on a minute, we're all by the Baron. I guess we're actually fighting for this one, right? Have a really, really scrappy burger flip, and then suddenly you're like, oh, well, this wasn't in the script that we had entailed, right? So, yeah, it's a very, very unfortunate situation at this crucial moment in the game. Kevy and Aladoric have both disconnected from the lobby. So, hopefully, a nice quick resolution. Perhaps just the modem needs to be turned off and back on. We really hope there's nothing too severe that could impact them for much longer. But I believe you'll be right. I'd imagine a Chrono Break would be inevitable. Look, we won't speculate that on it too much without knowing any confirmation from the referee side. But in terms of the series, look, I know you wanted to go for the perfect 3-0. Have you been pretty content with what you've seen so far, though?
Yeah, definitely. I was going for the underdog. Obviously, I want to have, 5 competitive games of League as a viewer. That's the most interesting thing to watch. And I think so far, even though last game was very one-sided by Bliss, I think we saw a very competitive game. And in game 1, we also saw a very competitive game, If that Baron didn't get stolen by Aladoric, it could have been a very different game. And I think in this game, we're seeing backwards and forwards. We're seeing nice engages from Harry finding those kills, but also at the same time, we are seeing, just overall good gameplay. And it's just, good to see competitive series from both sides, where we thought, would have been a very one-sided Bliss matchup based on the last time these two teams came together.
And I think a lot of it is also going to be Grand Zero watching this, wondering, all right, what are these two teams showcasing to really do whatever it takes to join us overseas? But at the same time, they've still got to go for us again, right? This is the semi-final, and then there's still a grand final to play and look forward to on the Monday. One final best of 5 to wrap up the entirety of LCO 2024. And you almost wonder, will there be enough left in the tank for either of these teams to surprise somebody like Grand Zero anymore?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think you're really going to catch Ground Zero by surprise, especially, I talk to Benny behind the scenes a lot, and I think the prep he does into the team Steve versus is, it's very, very, very impressive. So I think that he's always going to have the read on the enemy team, and I think that the one advantage you will have going up against Ground Zero in that finals is the fact that you have all this extra experience. If this does go to 5 games, all of a sudden, you played so many more games than Ground Zero. You're so locked in as a team. You feel so confident, taking out that team and qualifying to the PCS, and then going to the finals and playing for that upper seed, which you know, to a lot of people isn't, you know, a big deal because you would think that, oh, you know, they're qualified to PCS already, like who cares about the finals? But getting that first seed, getting that top seed going to PCS is so important because the difference between, you know, like the second and third PCS seed and the fourth and fifth is night and day.
So apparently, Tally, all sorts of things be going on at the moment. We've lost Skimmy as well, unfortunately. It's you and me, mate. Let's look, and that's all right. Like we're here. It's been a bit of a series though. I've been enjoying the Zyra gameplay, Tally.
Yeah, it definitely has. I'm impressed by what you know, Foreigner has done in the early game because we talk about when it comes to these mage junglers, the pathing man is shown fire, right? And he always creates scenarios where he gets these leads. But we do see Antic with their, you know, their macro to really enable Foreigner to, you know, find these grubs. They did get those 6 grubs thanks to those double lane swaps they went for, and you know, he's doing such a good job to use his priority in his lanes to steal away camps. It is quite basic gameplay, honestly, but it is nice to see it at such a high level where the enemy, you know, can respond in tandem.
Well, I know Skimmy's back, so Skimmy, welcome back.
I'm not sure what happened there, boys. I was still watching myself move on the screen. We're still talking. I'm still seeing bars move. Yeah, you're still hearing me, but I guess the voice of God said no.
Voice of God knows everything, unfortunately, and sadly, Voice of God still doesn't understand what is going on. But do you guys want me to go? Are you guys happy chinwagging, or am I joining the podcast?
Look, you can join the podcast. Welcome to the podcast. I mean, this is usually what happens, right? Like 5 minutes of us discussing the game, the state, the emotions, everything surrounding it, and then, assuming this is going to be a fairly long pause, just so we can start to derail the conversation and think, you know, what would we like to see for Game 4, Game 5, and, you know, if our predictions have probably shifted much. I mean, I'm still quite keen for a 3-2. What about yourself, Mike?
Look, I think a 3-2 is always the way to go, right? Like, I think we always want to see the best of 5. We want to see it go to 5 games. But I don't know if it's which team's actually going to get that 5th game. That's what my concern is. Is like, I might be flip-flopping. I think Antic is pulling out some things that Bliss might have answers to, but might not have answers to. So I might be flip-flopping here. Tally, what do you think?
Well, the strength of, you know, Bliss being the highest seed is they do get that game 5 if they do lose, right? They get that, you know, last side selection. So it's really nice for them. If that, you know, it is going to come down to that blue side. I think that whatever team does get the blue side will come out on top. And to me, I think that the comp that Antic has put together is the, you know, Apex comp, you know, with the Cassandra in the top lane. We finally see that priority being taken away, even though, you know, Bio on the Gnar is having such a strong game. I think that the champion is just so good at enabling the rest of the comp. You know, Foreigner looks so comfortable on this Zyra in particular. Raze, wanting to go for the Lucian instead of the Tristana Corki, looks so much stronger. And, you know, Dracu, having his champion pool pinch, pulls out Aladoric's Rakan. So all of a sudden, Aladoric's taking the Alistair from Dracu. Dracu takes the Rakan from Aladoric. And he looks so good on it. And I think Destiny has looked pretty much good in every single game so far. So I think that, you know, on the other side, with Bliss comp, I think, you know, matching up the style of, like, you know, range carry in the mid lane, mage in the jungle is good, but I would much rather see the, you know, consistent damage from the jungle role. You know, we're going to see the mage to match. You know, there was the brand and the Carthus still able to, oh, sorry, the Carthus was removed. The brand was still there as an option in that game, but, you know, if they don't want to go for that, I would much rather see them play something like the Diana Yasuo combo.
Yeah.
You read my mind, because I was just thinking, like, yes, we've been seeing, like, quite a bit of Yone. It's been banned quite a bit as well. I'd like to see some, like, other melee champions in the mid lane. Like, I want to see a little bit more of that. I think, like, it comes to mind, like, even Diana in the mid lane could be kind of fun. Like, just something ridiculous that might not have any presence. Like, don't shake your head at me.
He's like, no. What's that take? What's that take?
Throwing out thoughts. Throwing out thoughts, man. Like, could you imagine if it was just like, hey, we just want to go smack each other as hard as we can? Like, is that something we might get back in? Maybe not this year.
Okay, what you want is what you're basically saying, Pike, is for next year you want fearless draft. You want to have a case of you played Leona game 1, you can't play for the rest of this series. Game 5, we're locking in like Camille support because we're really like digging deep.
But you read my mind. Fearless draft. Actually, that's a good topic to talk about. Fearless draft. Are you guys for or like against?
I'd be for it.
I'd say I'm for. I think that it should be, you know, hard fearless in a best of 3 and soft fearless in a best of 5. I think that if it was hard fearless in a best of 5, there's just, you know, too many games and not enough, you know, viable champs in the meta. So I think we're still going to see a lot of variety if games do go down to that game 5 in a soft fearless where, you know, the difference is one team can continue to play the comp the enemy team played. Yep. And I think that in particular, we'd probably have to see players like Raze, you know, play, you know, other things besides 80 carries.
That's Exactly what I want. Yeah, soft feelers for best of 3, hard feelers. Sorry, flip that. Hard feelers for best of 3, soft feelers for best of 5. Makes so much sense. I think we've seen such great success in it for like some of the other second tier tournaments out there as well, like in NA and stuff, and it's been super successful, and it's sort of shown a different side to it. And I think what I love about Fearless is that you do get to see different sides of players. It's not just running back the same champion over and over again, and what it does give is showing players, that especially up-and-coming players, a chance to show off that they can make impacts no matter what they're doing. And I think that's what I think Fearless is so impactful for Skimmy.
I think also what's also quite interesting is how in the LCS they've done that experiment with the live patch, right? The whole idea of trying to garner more attention from the fans. Like, you see these champions, you see something a little bit unique. You're not just tuning in to seeing Cookie Azir every single game. And what you see is what you get, right? Oh, that looked really cool. I want to play that champion now at home. I do wonder if that will become a global trend, or if that will just be like a little trial by fire and it didn't really work. Okay, scrap that one completely. But it does feel like there's that fine balance with what keeps the viewers entertained and what allows the players not to feel completely burnt out, because otherwise you're just constantly go, new patch, got to get up to date with that one, got to go up to date with this one. And that's why we certainly do see teams hit, highs and lows, and maybe at the wrong times, right? Coming to playoffs, you spent maybe in other regions months and months and months, and then you're like, I've just played too much, and then you drop off.
Yeah, well, months and months. Well, talking about short little things, we have finally an answer. We are going to a chrono break, which means we are going to go to a short break. So stay with us, LCO fans, because it will not be too long before we are back in the game. Yes, Game 3 will still be going ahead. Chrono break inbound, Antic versus Bliss. Stick around.
Covered in gold, covered in gold. messed up, but I can't help the time and let go. The past is the past, time's moving fast. A good thing won't last right now. Did what I wanted to, but that was the old me. Everything I put you through, you know I'm sorry. Grown up, I changed up, I don't give the same love. Swear you could trust me, I'll never leave. I'll always be there for you. You don't have to question, I'll always be there for you. I swear, you don't have to question.
Here's the reason that Kevy's after becomes the Varus. Falls down on the stopwatch, it's carnage! Only triple happening here is for Phyto. Oh, it's do or die!
Thank you so much, guys, for sticking with us as we are back. We are going to be, while we're doing this chrono break, we're going to do some Postman Pike. Because we got some letters backed up, guys. We've got to get through a couple of these. There's only 2 nights left, including tonight. Let's just jump into the first one. And it is actually from Adam in Queensland. I love this. This is what I've been waiting for.
Oh, Queensland.
Hey,
Oh.
just wanted to make a quick shout out to the Flex 5-man boys. Ari, Vi, Nate, Johnny, and hashtag roll the dice. Thanks, man.
Shout out the boys.
Shout out to the
Shout out
boys.
to the lads.
It's super straightforward and simple. We have another letter coming in. This is actually from Nameless. You can give us a name, that's okay. We'll just call you Nameless from now on. So it goes, Dear Postman Pike, over the past few months, we've seen champions like Brand, who have traditionally been confined to 1 or 2 roles, buffed into the jungle. What are your thoughts regarding shifting the viable roles of existing champions? Recently, AD carries have been utilizing lethality items in place of crit due to their consistent spike in early game damage. Do you think that AD carries could potentially see more crit scaling in their kit? Maybe more assassins with lethality scaling, like Pike. Most importantly, I hope you and the rest of the broadcast team have a wonderful day. Well, thank you. And
that's fine.
P.S.
Thank you.
Does Postman Pike play Pike? I can answer that last one. No. Well, yes, but no. Pike is my IRL name, so but they technically took the idea of Pike from me.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. But okay, the crit scaling and lethality scaling, Tally, what do you think about that?
I mean, 80 carries are crit scaling and assassins are lethality scaling, no?
Are
So,
they?
yeah.
Well, I'm glad we answered that for them.
They killed Varus, no longer a lethality user, so GG. Yeah, look, I think assassins have always been his like weird talking point, right? Like you either get like a super tanky assassin that just like 1v9s, takes no damage because they're like 9,000 HP. And that's the same for a lot of different roles, right? Like remember when Zeri came out initially and you were just building like Titanic Hydra and all the rest of it? Bruiser Zeri, that would shred you all down. It was a little bit too much. So I think there's always this constant cycle of like, how can we make champions fun and defined whilst not just like all being who gets the most HP or yeah, something annoying, frustrating, anti-fun, I suppose.
And on that note, before Pike goes on, sorry, I was the thing. Anyone ever think about this? The fact that Ashe, while she does build crit, doesn't actually crit champions, right? So when she does get more critical strike, it just increases her slow, increases the damage that her amp damage to those frosted targets. So if you think about it, Ashe is like the only champion league that is perfectly balanced because she doesn't have any RNG in her kit.
What?
Yep.
Facts.
When did this happen? Why did I not know? I'm a caster, for God's sake, and I didn't know that. What? No.
Yeah, it was after
You
the
can't get
rework.
my chain.
She doesn't crit.
What?
She just slows
I have to
people.
move on. I'm going to go look that up when the game starts back up, hopefully in a few minutes, but what? What? Sorry, it's just melted my brain. I'm sad you guys don't have a letter because I need a second to just process that I didn't even know. So, okay, snail mail. Hello, Postman Pike. I hope this snail mail finds you well. Thanks to you, I have an opportunity to talk about the best team in League of Legends history and get a free tea with it. Count me in. Oh, okay. This goes on a weird long tangent. Really does. In 2014, I was a 16-year-old teenager in Venezuela. I had started playing League of Legends with friends months earlier and knew how exciting it could be if played professionally. I was right. SK Telecom T1, the winners of 2013, were the team I decided to cheer for in 2014. To my surprise, they didn't qualify, so I was left in the middle of nowhere. in a tournament with 16 teams and no defending champion to set the standard of what makes a good team. So I'm watching every game in the tournament and notice a certain Samsung team playing. They were the reason SKT T1 wasn't playing. So I didn't want to cheer for them, but man, their coordination was impeccable. Their strategies were innovative. Their individual skill levels were through the roof. Doggy's coaching, Looper's consistency, Dandy's jungle control, Pawn's mechanical skills, Imp's aggression, and Matter's vision. They were good. Like, really, really good. As good as bread, butter, and sprinkles. Who knew? Hollow Knight, Silk Song, and even Ground Zero right now, at the time of writing, sorry for the jinx. Don't worry, you didn't jinx that one.
No.
One team stood above all, an undefeated tournament, the winners of Worlds 2014. This is what the peak looks like, and this is how I fell in love with the game and sport called League of Legends. Happy 10th anniversary, Samsung White, and thank you for reading. Twisted Failer, thank you so much. That is from Kevin.
That was a nice journey.
We went on a
That's the
magical
story.
journey back in time, Tally.
Yeah, and I really miss the the sister teams of like Samsung White, Samsung Blue. Back then it was Death, Death Thirst Imp. That was like the pinnacle of 80 carries in the world. And that's what everyone used to really pay attention to. But I have to shout out, I remember that roster and how scary it was. Dandy, the fact he would always just steal every objective. Dade in the mid lane was just considered the GOAT. He was just good on everything, and then Imp and Mata in the bot lane were just whew.
Would you remember those times, Skimmy? Were you watching back then?
Well, I played from season 1 to season 3, but during that time, I think it was like the peak of MOBA creation, right? Like literally everybody was trying to make like a new variation of Dota from Warcraft 3. So yeah, I was in season 7. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's just Google that one up. What happened then? So I'm completely lost, and that's why it was quite intimidating when I joined League Casting, because I was like, I know nothing.
Look, I can relate to that. Yeah, that's my cat
We've been ganked.
decided to come for a.
That's where Kevy is. It
Wanna meet
makes
my cat?
sense now. It makes sense now.
This is my kitty. This is Guinevere. Say hi. Okay.
It's very
Doesn't
broad
want to say
name.
hi.
Don't wanna
That's
talk.
fine. That's Guinevere. She's like, oh, I'll just disrupt everything. That's cool. But we're in a chrono break, Gwen. It's fine. We got another letter though. Let's get through to it. I love the start of this. You'll like this, Gimme. Kia ora, Postman Pike.
Oh, kia ora.
So where are they from?
Oh, they're from the land of Cheer, bro.
LCO is looking great this year. Looking forward to seeing the Ground Zero team represent us again on the international stage and hopefully Worlds 2024. I'll be cheering them on with hopefully my Raise the Koala tee. Look, absolutely. And that is from Tom. Beautiful Tom. Thank you so much. Look, Ground Zero is looking pretty good. I think a lot of the letters have specifically highlighted like Ground Zero being there. Soothsayers. They're all gypsies. That's what I'm hearing, because they're seeing the future. They know what's going on.
Thank
They
God
know something
won.
that we don't.
You know what they know that I don't? That Ash doesn't crit.
Yeah.
What?
It's been a thing since the rework. They made Ash like a true balanced champion. The more crit you get, the larger the slow is, the larger that amp is from the that's why we see when Ash volley and then you land the auto attack, it does more damage than a normal auto attack.
Oh, so now that makes sense. All right, don't worry about me. Clearly, I don't like Ash.
I will always just love the fact of like a brand new champion comes out, their passive is an essay, and then everyone always goes to Twitter to try and get the clout ASAP and says, NASA's passive versus this brand new like Twilight Saga series passive champion, boom. And it's just like,
Actually, we should quickly talk about that while we still have some time in this chrono break. Aurora, the new champion that's literally just dropped. Have you guys played her at all or played up against her? Like, seen anything? It's so new, like days old.
I know nothing actually, nothing at all. I'll look it up now. Let's have a look.
I've seen it. Been played a lot. It looks very strong. I gotta say the ult is especially like it's definitely gonna come up in competitive. I think it's definitely a competitively viable champion. While it is like that semi-assassin mage that we are seeing, but it does. All you really need to function competitive is wave clear and some team fight pressure, and I think that she has both of those.
I played
She's
myself
sort of like a mix of like Vayne, right? It's like it's the 3 auto attacks, or there's 3 abilities you land in concession, and it does like something in there. Like, again, I haven't looked into it too. We'll wait for Skimmy to come back and maybe give us a read. But we've got another letter.
I looked at its ultimate and it's like 500 words. I ain't reading all that on the fly, bro. How can I read that whilst paying attention here to answer your quick? It's not happening. I'll wait for the champion spotlight.
Yeah, we'll wait for that. We'll come
freak.
back to it. All right, well, we got another letter. It's from Caden this time. Thank you, Caden, for writing in. We really appreciate it. So, to Papa Pike and the rest of the LCO crew. This split has been great with all the nail-biting back and forths along with great plays around Baron. However, it could not have been done without all of you. Papa Pike, I loved the chaos you've created on the desk so far. You did great in Melbourne as host for the LCO finals. One day I'll make my way down under for the LCO myself. Skimmy has been around for a while, but is an awesome commentator who's known to cause trouble. There are even clips on the LCO Twitter page about it. Tally is a familiar name to me. Apparently represented a few cool teams here and there before joining the LCO as talent. I think they'll be a great commentator. Regardless, the LCO would not be here today if it wasn't for ESL and the crew that was organised to broadcast LCO behind the scenes. Props to them. Thanks for a great 2024 spring and summer, split 1 and 2 respectively. So far, can't wait for the summer finals. From Caden. That's a nice, wholesome letter.
It is a wholesome message, isn't it? Yeah.
Love that.
We like that.
So apparently though, Skimmy, you and I cause mischief and chaos. Tally's just a nice addition.
Yeah, I guess.
Good bounce.
Okay, maybe I'm the bad influence on Tally, right? I do like the mischievous stuff, and Tally's like, oh, like he can get away with that. Like, can I do that? Maybe I'll start to say that, right? And I feel like definitely it's happened as the split's gone on, a little bit more comfortable, a bit more into the groove, and you're like, oh yeah, this is not too bad at all. This is like just commentating with the boys watching a Discord together.
Do I need to go find some of the really crazy quotes that I've been taking down?
You could go.
That's too much. I've got letters in front of me.
There are
instead.
years worth of clips.
Oh, this is a big one. Oh, this takes us down memory lane though. Tally, are you ready for this one? All right. It's a good one. It's from Danny. This is from Danny. So they go. Dear Postman Pike, I hope this letter finds you well. My name is Danny, and I'm an avid fan of the League of Legends circuit Oceania. The LCO has been an integral part of my gaming life, and I'm excited to participate in the Write In to Postman Pike competition for a chance to win an LCOT. As a dedicated follower of the LCO, I've been consistently impressed by the level of talent and sportsmanship displayed by the teams. The thrilling matches and the camaraderie among players and fans make the LCO a truly special community. Damn. I appreciate how the LCO has fostered a competitive yet friendly environment, bringing together gamers from all walks of life. This is just me saying it. Kebab.
Oh, okay.
One of my favorite LCO moments was during the grand finals of the 2023 Split 2, where Chiefs Esports Club faced Team Bliss. The Chiefs dominated the series with a 3-0 victory, showcasing their exceptional coordination and strategic prowess. The final match, in particular, highlighted their superior teamwork and decision-making. Despite the one-sided scoreline, the games were packed with high-level plays and intense moments, making it an unforgettable conclusion to the split. As an OG fan of the Chiefs, I fondly remember their golden era with Swiper, Swiffer, Spooks, Raydeer, and Ejim/Rosie. Their dominance during that period set a high standard in the region, and their incredible synergy and skill were a joy to watch. The legacy they built continues to inspire both new and old fans alike. Winning an LCOT would be a fantastic way to show my support for the league and its players. And then it just talks about size. It would be an honor to wear it proudly and represent the LCO community in my daily life.
Nice.
Damn. Tally, you didn't make the cut.
You weren't a part of the golden era, apparently.
I jumped around too much. You know, I've been at Legacy, Chiefs, Order, you know, I didn't really stick it at one club, but gotta say Chiefs, you know, that Chiefs roster was quite goated.
It's pretty good. It's not bad. Would you say, was that roster better than your roster though, Tally? Like, you can say no.
For the time, probably. I'd say, you know, they were a lot more dominant than, you know, my roster ever was, even though we did go undefeated. It felt like those guys, you know, were just, they never felt beatable, right? That was the major thing to me.
Yeah, true. All right, we got another letter. We got plenty of letters, man. Like we got quite a few we could get through. We could probably clean out the letters tonight, but this one got me. This one really got me. I read it. I had to read it like 4 times before I got it, and then that just shows. Look, if I didn't know Ash could crit, obviously my ability to read letters is not anything to be proud of. So it says, "Dear LCO, Q, please enjoy my letter. Meow, Intosaurus." Okay, that's it.
That was the letter?
That's the letter.
I love. Okay, so it is every letter is a T-shirt, right? That's the deal.
Yeah.
I love how the last letter was just this huge thing. It's like, please, I hope to win the
Please
competition.
enter in the competition.
And this
You've
one's
won.
just like, yeah, both won.
It literally, so it says, "Please enjoy my letter," and they've just written the letter Q. That's literally the letter. That's why I had to read it. Look at it. I read it so many times because they just wrote it in permanent marker, just a big Q. I was like, all right. Look, it's very bright.
Hey, fair
I
enough.
apologize.
They probably spend more on the stamp than on the ink.
That's it. That's the one. That's all we need to do. Well, we are. Okay, so we're going to save some more letters. We got more,
Okay.
but we're going to go to a short break as we have been talking for a little bit. We're going to give ourselves a chance to recuperate. Chrono Break is still in action, so thank you all so much for staying with us. We will have the game back very shortly. It is Antic vs Bliss, Game 3, the best of 5. We'll see you there.
It's 2 a.m. and you call me. Tell me that you feel lonely, that I can be anybody. Yeah, I don't need you to know me. I'll be your one and only. Just don't leave me high and dry. Falling like a domino. Falling and I can't let go. Falling into the unknown. But you ought to know this heart's unbreakable. It's unbreakable. It's unbreakable. It's 2 a.m. and you call me. Tell me that you feel lonely, that I can be anybody. Yeah, I don't need you to know me. I'll be your one and only. Just don't leave me high and dry. I'm falling like a domino, and I can't let go into the unknown. I'm falling like a domino, but you ought to know I'm unbreakable. Falling like a domino, falling, and I can't let go. Falling into the unknown, but you ought to know this heart's unbreakable. But you ought to know this heart's.
Here's the reason that Kevy's after becomes the Varus. Forced out of the stopwatch, it's carnage! Only triple happening here is for Phyto. Oh, surprise! It's do or die!
Welcome back again as we are now getting ever closer, just getting so near to the time when we can get back into this game. Chrono breaks do take a little bit and our team is working tirelessly and so hard to get it back up for you. And let's go have a quick look at the current drafts that we got going and the previous drafts as well to see what we're actually dealing with and how we can see it all working together. And this is currently what we have, Tally. Paint me a word picture.
Yeah, I think we're seeing the development of the series so far. You know, like the Ashe high priority, you know, winning both those games on the earlier, you know, 2 games that we saw. All of a sudden, you know, hit the bench. The Ezreal, which was first picked in these games or taken as a high priority, suddenly dropped down in priority as well. You know, Bliss in particular have gone for, you know, 3 completely different looks, right? You know, they went for the early game in game 1, they went for the scaling in game 2, and they've gone for a mix in game 3. So yeah, I think that with the Kai'Sa Alistar, we haven't really seen it have any impact right now in this 3rd game, and it has just been, you know, Destiny and you know, Draco in that bot lane having priority and Draco being freed up to roam around the map, and that has just been the Zyra, you know, finding these leads against the Nidalee.
Yeah, we do know that the Kai'Sa does like to scale into the game though, so yes, there hasn't been, I guess, a huge impact thus far from this bot side on the side of Bliss. I do have faith that they probably can pull it back as the game goes on, but when you are up against Foreigner on this Zyra, especially with the Ezreal, Lucian as well, Lucian being in the mid, it does make it a lot harder too for Kai'Sa to get the 3-item power spike that really unlocks her full kit. Does a little bit more, but I want to also talk a little bit about this Nidalee pick, Skimmy, and shed some light for me. I guess we know Zyra is so strong at the moment. How does Nidalee fare into this?
Well, a lot of the time it was just like clear indications of lane interactions. So like we've had like the Nidalee Renekton, for example. You pander towards that lane, you both get ahead, you both stay incredibly relevant. And then Nidalee then scales into Oblivion, where you become a bit of an assassin, right? You tag them up with a spear, you get the extended pounce, and then boom, execution. But, you know, it feels pretty bad like a Viego if you fall behind because you're getting out-tempoed, you're going to be squishy, and yeah, it's all skill shot based, right? Which is sort of what Talia was mentioning during the game, where Foreigner's able to clear so quickly, the Zyra gets to do as he pleases, and if they dive you, it's as simple as pressing a root or an ultimate, and the sort of the fight fizzles out. But I think the big talking point for me is like the game duration, right? The fact that all these games are going over 30 minutes. Last night, it was this Ground Zero crushing in under 25. And I think that's why, you know, we've all been calling out for more scaling options, because you are most likely going to get to those 3 or 4 items, at which point it is that classic OS matchup, you know, who can provide the best setup in those late game situations when respawns are 50 seconds and counting, and it's a pretty much a GG condition.
Yeah, well, again, I'm liking the priority of Gnar as well that's coming back into it too. Talion, I think that's a good talking point as well. The K'Sante-Gnar matchup, it obviously is a little bit Gnar favored just from that range, but do you think as the game goes on, the Antic has the priority with the K'Sante as the later it goes?
I would say, you know, Gnar is a really, really good scaling champion. He has like spikes and dips as a champion, right? Obviously, the major spike is, you know, being in Mega Gnar in general is just the biggest thing about this champion, because you do not want to be in Mini Gnar in these team fights, especially against how much damage Antic has. But, you know, is a champion who does get to those later stage in the game when you have the Sterix, when you have these extra tank items, when you're in that Mega Gnar, you are a wall for your team, and you do have one of the best CC ults, one of the most powerful ults in the game, in the Gnar. So I think this champ can match up to the K'Sante in terms of the front to back that these comps will both be matching.
Well, Tally, it's my time to go. Good luck out there. Game's back.
And we're back, Skivvy.
We are back. Thank you so much, everybody, for bearing with us. It's a very long pause. Takes a fair bit of time to get resolved, but we are back. So all your patience has paid off. We can get back into the series, get back to understanding who's going to close out Game 3.
And I think we should probably do a little bit of a stock check and, you know, refamiliarize, or get familiar with this game state again. I think that, you know, while there is that tiny bit of a goal lead towards Antic right now, the inventories on both sides are pretty matched in terms of DPS and items. So, you know, both teams feel quite comfortable to walk up and do this. And as we see, Zoranis getting comboed by Alador, but not really losing a lot of health because the DPS just isn't there. You know, if Violet, you know, does have the items right now, but if he doesn't have that uptime, it doesn't stick.
Oh no, Alador's nearly been soloed out. Actually has to burn the ultimate just to make
sure
he doesn't solo him. So yeah, without any Warmogs, without an ultimate, they're down a crucial member. That's a big proponent of what their engage entails. Back to base he goes. Begs the question of Antic feel the need to start up Baron again.
Yeah, they absolutely can just walk over and start this Baron, but they do not have the seeds set up. They do not have the classic Zyra walks in with all the seeds and the ult to pop this one off, but they do have the fight angle.
But they certainly do. Harry's under threat right now. The Grand Entrance completely cancelled out there by that nice Empress Divide, but still another threat attends itself, and Harry falls down for the 4th time this game. Pure frustration. There is no Bliss to be found. Ray's under threat. Cops the ignite, but not enough to take him down. But Bliss is slowly answering back. Fantastic flash pull, locks them down. Gnar up against the wall. 2 members to be found. Zornis jumps in as the K'Sante and tries to entertain a 1v3. Easier said than done, because whilst he buys time, Foreigner gets taken down in a 1v1. And my god, Tally, we waited for this.
And we have been waiting for this. We waited all night, and finally Violet and Aladoric show up. This fight was all them. Aladoric with that Q flash onto the crucial members of the enemy team, and Violet flashing in afterwards, cleaning up both Rays, pushing him out of the fight, and then finding the kill onto Destiny. Baron going towards the side of this team, and all of a sudden they're back in the game. And this Nidalee, the only strength it really had was enabling this Kai'Sa and Azir in the fights, and finally it has come online, Skimmy.
Finally it has indeed. Rays off to the side there, taking a 1v1 into the Aladoric, who's been able to do a pretty good job of peeling him in this one. And whilst it looks so promising for Antic at the start, the mobility factor causing chaos was too much to bear.
Yeah, and I think that with this, the Zyra ult being put on cooldown, they do not have the cooldown for this moment right here. This could have been game-changing for if he had that ulti. The fact that both teams are letting these huge combos, they're letting the CC on these members, but they finally, Bliss, are outranged. They have the freedom to reach these members, and they will, find these 1v1s which will win.
And it's a big discrepancy for me in terms of where all that power lays, because whilst we highlighted how easy it is for Foreigner, yes, he got the CS lead, yes, he's got the ability to function a bit better in comparison with the setup his team has. He's 0-3, whilst Kevy's had a rough go at it. He's the one actually with the champion bounty. Same could be said in the mid lane where Raze is ahead and Harry's being falling behind. And it does beg the question, how much can Bliss get accomplished now with this Baron buff themselves?
Yeah, how much indeed. I think that Kevy has done enough to really bridge that gap between, the ease of execution from the Zyra and the fact that he doesn't really do anything if he can't jump in, but he has enough damage, thankfully, for all the gold he's picked up, to finally execute. If he does land that spear, if he does get the mark, he will be doing so much damage. These heals also, with how much AP he has in his inventory, will do a lot onto these carries, and that's the main thing about surviving this, disengage out of Antic.
That's it. It's a 6-0 topside for Bliss. Incredibly strong. 2-item spike, soon to be 3 as they go back to business. And Harry says, you know what? I'm having no success when I group up with the boys. I constantly get picked apart, constantly get targeted. I'm just going to win the game state from map push alone. True shot barrage to try and trim the wave state a little bit, but it's going to be 2 lanes collapsing at once, and potentially even 3 as Bio responds to Zonis in the bot half.
Yeah, and this is just nice by Bliss, playing it slow, making sure that it's getting, one objective at a time. Enable here on the top side to get it into town, and then group up on mid. I think that the siege in a 5v5 is quite hard, dealing with the Ezreal and potential roots coming out of Florida here over the wall.
Gibson could be the engaged. Freya, look at Draco, looking to try and beat a rowdy one. He gets it all started off in the mid lane, Cullen to follow. Execution not to be found. Kevy waiting for the heal, but Violet lucky to be alive. Aladoric across the wall getting preyed upon by Zorinus, but Bio's there to back up his support. And they'll find another kill, and they'll persist with all 5 Baron buffs.
I'm not sure if that Mystic Shot did land Skimmy, but I think that heal from Kevy might have just saved his life at the very exit there, but that was their one chance to find an engage. That was a Draco committing his flash to members who were split, and unfortunately, they do not find that kill, and now all of a sudden, Bio so strong on this now, working towards his fourth item in the inventory, foregoing the magic resist because, Foreigner starting to fall behind in this game state.
He is certainly starting to fall behind, still sitting on just 1 Leandris. That is it, 28 minutes into the game, and whilst it was so good to start with, it just hasn't flourished as much as he would have hoped for. And this is Bliss finding some real momentum. It took a long time to get back into the game state based on the pulls, but they've reasserted their control, and they're looking to go full swing into the driving seat.
Yeah, and I think that right now is this is when Antic needs to prove themselves as a team who can play from these bad game states. We see what they can do from ahead, right? We can see what they can do when they have the winning team comps. But right now, this is going to come down to execution, and really they need their macro to shine to secure the gold and the correct numbers, because we do start to see item advantages or the match of items happening right now in the inventories of both members, but Draco.
Yeah, Draco unfortunately falls on down, victim to a lack of vision, wanting to try and contest it, wanting to try and wrangle it back. Bliss don't allow it, and simply continue to group up as 5, utilize their strength. The momentum continues to propel them forward, and now with the sand tower built by the Azir, they guaranteed themselves another lane of pressure.
Yeah, and we're starting to see, this dynamic in the support as it's developing throughout the series. The fact that, whoa, hold on, Skimmy.
Hold on, indeed. That's a fantastic strangle form, but the follow-up's just not there right now. Zonis goes all out, entertains 5 members, and whilst he takes down Kevy, that's all he'll find. Aladoric blinking HP bar. No Mystic Shot to snipe it, and a true shot barrage that was agonizingly close.
So close by, Antic there. What an engage from Foreigner and Zorinus, finding the knock-up to get Kevy on this. That's a shutdown going onto the right member, but Kevy's building towards that Zhonya's, and this is going to allow him to go in these team fights. As we see the replay here, Skimmy, this is just disrespect coming out of Bliss, rotating in a very aggressive way, and Foreigner just finding this huge engage. Imagine he had more items to his name, Skimmy. The amount of disruption he could have done here, this extra damage that would have stuck, could have been Aladoric also going down and allowing those carries from Antic to go forward.
It was the perfect, initiation, right? The Stranglethorn over the wall, undeterred, but as you rightly mentioned, not enough items to really threaten them with that instant one-shot potential. There's another dragon to play for. That's to go in just under 30 seconds now. And this would be a sole point for Antic to claim. That would be some much-needed resolution as they'll find one kill right off the bat, send Aladoric down for 40 seconds, and run it straight back to the river.
And that's that main engage tool from Bliss being taken down straight away. Dragon is up. There should be soul point going towards Antic, so I expect to see Bliss, just corral to the top side of the map and try trade anything they can, because this objective is not one they want to contest. But to my earlier point, Skimmy, I wanted to mention the support dynamic that we are seeing as the series go on. There is the Rakan on Draki, and while he did have that good early game performance, he doesn't want to engage, right? He wants to play around his team fights and play the peel, and Alistair, at the same time doesn't want to go in. He wants to peel his carries. He can find those flanks to allow Violet to go in, but I think that Alistair is just much more versatile in these games. Being able to play the champion, can block those LeBlancs, can block the chance from, assassinating his backline, but also being the champion who does find those big engages is nice, whereas, Rakan is, necessarily only really good at ganking because his peel is not the best.
Not the best, right? A little shield to tickle you and say, look, I'm here to help. But certainly not to the same extent that a headbutt could be that much of a nuisance. Well, they have got themselves that Chemtech Soul, and they are utilizing those extended ranges on those blast cones to try and find some rather creative angles, but it is going to come down to yet another Baron fight, you'd have to say. If not that, potentially another 5 minutes, and another Elder would be on the cards here. Level 18, not too far away from many of these members, as level 17 has been achieved. And this is feeling like one final team fight to end all the terms.
Yeah, and we are seeing the Baron being started, Skinny. The TP is coming out from the flank from Bai. This is the Narbar, though. It is going to run out, and when they recognize that he is in mini, this team fight is much more favorable for Antic.
Look at everybody working from Antic's side, rallying around Zonis to make sure he can get out without a scratch. Is going to be tickled down just a fraction, but not enough to be forced to go back to base. Lanes are pushing against them right now. Violet's done a fantastic job in assistance with Harry to keep pressure on that regard and say, look, if we keep dancing around having this Baron, you are going to lose even more map pressure.
Yeah, and Bliss want to buy time so Bai can build up that Narbar. He is level 18, 3 points in ult means that one is a very low, downtime on the rage. So you're going to be able to build that one up pretty much every single wave, which is so important for the champion because he is the main frontline for his team. He is the enabler for Harry to find those big swoops. He is the enabler for Violet to go into the backline. And if he does get that huge mega, flash engage, he can win this game for his team.
Well, we've seen it happen in the past, right? I'm always going to remember that of Kissei when he went in for that fantastic flash base ult to really secure the deal for them on that occasion. Much sure against your own enjoyment. But hey, look, you know what? It was pretty hype in the meantime. But it does show you sort of the potential that these individual carries can do.
Yeah, and it is going to be, the Gnar meta coming back in against, Swiper, who's the coach on Antic side. This is his champion. This is what we all remember him for, those big swift Gnar engages, and this could be Bio, taking the mantle of that legacy.
So he could be looking to try and pick up that mantle, looking to try and showcase that he is the new era of top laners, looking to, represent us to the finest T. And is still on a perfect KDA, sitting at 4-0-4, only to be matched by Raze at 4-0-1. Those two have certainly been on one in Game 3 here. But everybody swarms back into the mid lane. The ARAM begins, and it's a case of who decides to make the first move. And Aladoric says it's my time to shine. Flash pole, combo, lockdown one, do whatever they can, assassinate out Zonis, who tries to kidnap, but can't find the kill right off the get-go. Stranglethorn's tickling Aladoric on the tail end, forced to burn that indomitable will. And everything being committed, but nothing to be found.
They can't trade Aladoric then. He's just going to walk it off with that Warmox heal the way back. But all of a sudden, Zoranis, no ulti, has to TP back in with full health. The Baron's going down, but look at Aladoric on the flank.
The Baron's just too quick though. Look how much damage there is. The ability to shred it down at this 33-minute stage means if you make one wrong step, it's gone. And yeah, Antic didn't really expect it to fall that quickly.
But this is just the DPS difference of AD carries right now. While they are quite similar in IM's, Kai'Sa is that crit scaling AD carry. You're going to be doing so much more damage than an Ezreal who's just shooting into the unbreakable will of Aladoric and just that isn't sticking. And this is why we've seen so far, Ezreal has yet to pick up a win this series, Gimme.
Yeah, it does seem like it's champion that maybe just not too favored between these two teams where it's incredibly strong, but you just need that late game carry. And Ezreal, yes, for all the work it can do in the early and mid game, it's not enough to close out the match.
absolutely not enough. And Foreigner is just, the inventory that he has right now, he's the solid AP threat for his team, but he is, going for that heal cut item, so not the best item when it comes to the DPS of a mage, but also just doesn't have the gold to be able to build those nice items that he really wants. And, Kevy on the other side, 3 completed items. Doesn't have to operate as that solid AP carry, can play this assassin. There are so many threats on the side of Bliss right now, and just, the only real damage threat coming out of Antic is Raze.
Certainly is. He's got his work cut up for him as a short-range AD carry. No rapid-fire cannon to try and bridge that weakness. And going to be using that culling basically off cooldown to try and trim the wave from afar. Elixir was popped there by Kevy. He's ramping himself up for what should be the final fight, as this Baron is already halfway complete. It's a case of how much can be done. Can they break open the base?
They haven't timed their wave scheme, so these waves are constantly crashing. So all we see is Antic bouncing between each wave. This inhibitor should go down here. Perry just walks up and slaps it twice, but so much damage onto Destiny.
Really nice opportunity there from Violet to try and find that fight. The barrier really saved his bacon on that occasion, but that will mean they have to concede that mid lane inhibitor. They're going to work their way towards the second one in the bot lane now that one's been prepped. And hope that they can fight a little bit more. Zonis has had enough. He goes in for the flash pounce and Tofu strikes, tries to kidnap one person. Ends up taking Aladora. Maybe not the target he's after. Strangleform knocks up 2. Harry in isolation gets put into Zoni's effect. Kevy not soon to follow as they all try to scurry away and hope that the CDR is in their favor. And Zonis, the one to start it, is the one to perish.
Aladoric again finds that huge knock up onto so many members, and the Stranglethorns look so good for Foreigner there, but just wasn't enough follow-up for his team. Raze was chunked out to a low amount of health, doesn't have any sustain in the kit right now, no Bloodthirster, no life steal in the kit, so every single time some AoE hits him or, an Azir soldier auto-attacks him, he's forced out the fight, even though he has so much DPS to his name.
Yeah, really getting pushed away, right, and going to be sitting on vision at this stage, so be aware that an Elder is up, it's spawning, it's going to be taken, and yet again, no contest from Antic, and this is getting rough for them now because the win conditions are very quickly spiraling away.
You see Raze going for that, top wave, tried pushing out as much as possible, but Fire does have that teleport. If he does recognize he's by himself, they do see missing pings onto him, so not going to go for that next wave, going to leave it in a neutral state. Oh, he is. He really wants to. There is no ward. He did want to push that one away with his own ping cord, so he should be pretty safe to pick up this wave and get back to base as soon as possible. But dealing with this Elder Siege is very scary because Alador keeps finding these engages, and this time they really can dive.
And they have so much playmaking potential, right? You've got the Azir, the Kaiser, the Gnar, all these heavy-hitting carries that can just dive into the backline with a reckless abandon and say, yeah, if I trade, and it's a worthwhile one because we just take you down in a heartbeat. Let's see then what it can do on the side of Antic to defend their space. That'll be the second inhibitor being picked on up. And will Bliss entertain the idea of a third? Well, it's simply impossible given that Raze pushed that top side before.
Yeah, that's the nice thing. So it's expected they lose the bottom inhibitor here, but I think that with Raze pushing out that top wave, by the time they do get that wave into that top lane to be able to siege that tower, this Elder Dragon is going to be very close to falling off. So more than likely, we're not going to see a team fight happen, but the next big objective will be that Baron skimmy, and I think that with these inhibitors being down, Antic are kind of forced to contest it because it's so hard to deal with, a Baron buff against multiple down inhibitors.
It is, right? And it's a case of, you don't want that slow bleed, that slow death where it's like Bliss know they're going to win and you're up against it and you're running out of options. And that does, I'm sure, have a bit of a mental impact on players. The fact that it's been a very long pause and that the momentum very quickly shifted as we came out of that one. So, a bit demoralizing. 10k lead here for Bliss. Let's see if anything comes of this one because the Baron's still a couple of minutes away from spawning. But it's Bliss saying, we'll take everything and keep you stuck inside your wall.
Yeah, and this is the really nice thing about Zyra in the late game, right? A lot of this poke, Nidalee in the late game, a lot of the poke from Zyra right now will just be healed up. Alador can use that Warmox to sustain up, whereas, Kevy can heal himself and the rest of the members on his team, so good to see. And the fact that Violet has 6 items to his name now, and no real threat on the enemy team onto this champion, is exactly what Bliss needed from this player.
That they certainly did. He's called Ultraviolet for a reason, and this is going to be one of those Ultraviolet performances. A champion that fits the name with the items to boot, and as you say, who actually friends him? It's not going to be the Ezreal, it's not going to be the Lucian, and Zonis is too weak to take him down in a 1v1. Let's see, as that third wave does eventually get escorted on in. We're just going to keep sure that those supers do work and keep Antic's attention distracted.
Yeah, and all they want to do is push these waves in and make sure that Antic are just sitting in their base and unable to contest this Baron, because it is so hard to do anything when you have to deal with this bot wave, you have to deal with this mid wave, and you're going to walk in blind to the top side of the map to contest this Baron, and all of a sudden Alador could be playing on a flank with a kill instinct coming out of Violet and just assassinate one member from your team, and even if you do trade evenly and the Baron does go down to the enemy team, teleports could go onto your base on all these waves that are just walking into your fountain at that point.
Sure, the terrifying thing for Antic right now is we need to leave the base to contest this Baron. That's up in 15 seconds. We need to sweep the ward so we don't get TP flanked on and have an X-Peke moment. We need to make sure these waves are also attended so the supers don't win. You're really up against it, Tally. It is so much easier said than done, but they have to try.
They're contesting it, and they probably feel rushed as well based on this bot wave. This is not the last super wave. There's going to be more coming forward. So expect to see Antic, pull the trigger and go for an engage, because if they just dance here, all Bliss needs to do is buy time for these waves.
That's exactly right. They can continue this Baron dance and say, we don't have to do much. It's your own indecision that will prove indecisive. There we go. Zoran is actually Pathmaker, completely immune to every bit of CC. Harry falls to flash at the safety, hits the blast cone, regroups with his team, but Violet kicks off the kills. He finds one, he's space gliding, he's onto his second, into the backline, looking for the triple, hoping for the quadra kill. In jumps Aladoric, denied by Destiny, but claimed for the ace. The quadra for Violet. That's that late game power.
And this is just classic Bliss to me. They wait and wait and wait, and they get the items on Violet, and we all know what he can do with the late game. He finds 6 items, and he is just going on to Raze. Raze, gets hit by the combo from Aladoric, doesn't have his flash up to be able to dodge that one, and all of a sudden, Killer Instinct, 1 or 2 autos, that's a one-shot. Onto the next member, another one-shot. And it's so easy for Violet in these late game scenarios to feel comfortable and carry his team.
That he certainly did. Finishes that game 8-1-8. A flawless performance out of Biopanther as well, finding a bit of form when it really matters. And Bliss starting to up the ante. Whilst it looked like Antic was starting to run away with things, finding the better end of the draft, finding the better end of the playstyle, it's Bliss responding back and saying this is the reason this comp was brought together. This is the reason expectations from ourselves, from the fans, even ourselves as pundits are so up there as well, because we expect to see good things from this team. And now Bliss are on match point.